Good evening and welcome to the Longlands Club for this week's Monday Night Club. Joining me this week is Joe Scott. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Cheers, James.
No worries. As always, Borough fans, there's plenty for us to get through tonight. We'd like your thoughts and reactions to Saturday's draw with Newport County in the FA Cup. The transfer window closes in 3 days' time. How hopeful are you with the Borough getting the deals done to give our promotion push the fresh impetus it needs? And there's a look ahead to the weekend and another reunion for Tony Pulis, this time at the Hawthorns for a crucial 6-pointer with West Bromwich Albion. Join me and Joe in the debate. We love to hear your opinions, so we've got loads to get on with, Joe.
Yep, we have.
So, to start off with, the romance of the Cup was in pretty short supply for the Borough on Saturday. Bit of a lacklustre display, Joe.
It was, yeah.
And it was a strong side the Borough put out as well. And it probably ended up with us getting the worst outcome we could have got. Do you think anyone in that game emerged with any credit from it?
Definitely, you could definitely say there's a couple of players that can take credit for the performance we had on Saturday. You know, Lewis Swing in particular. You know, right. From my opinion, he was the man of the match for the entire game because he had the one decent chance in the first half that went off the bar, and obviously, Longer, he had quite a few chances in the game. That obviously he had one went past the post in the first half, but second half, I think. From the moment, you know, when IR scored, I think we were just keeping steady, should I say, from that point. Yeah. And then obviously the last 10 minutes, that's when Newport started becoming more threatening. Yeah. And obviously an expert youth player in Matty Dolan came up with the equaliser in the last 40-something seconds of the game. It was
a bit of a stutter for us at the end there. I mean, John Obi McKell made his debut on Saturday. He came to the club as a defensive midfielder, but in truth, he showed quite a few promising signs of what he can deliver going forward as well, didn't he?
Yeah, so he's, like I said, when he first joined the club, he was one of them. He's like one of them versatile midfielders. He can play like defence midfielder. He can play as a number 10, like he did when he was in China. There was some good signs of him because, like I said, you know, because we didn't expect, most fans didn't expect he was only still 31 years of age in the prime of his career. Yeah,
no, he did very well. And Ryan Shotton got through 70 minutes as well, Joe. I mean, it's good to see him back. He offers us something as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was definitely missed for the last few games, I'd say, you know. Particularly, you know, when it comes to set pieces, you know, the long throws. We missed that for the last couple of games that he's been out. So definitely good to see Ryan back, even if it was for like 70 or something minutes. Yeah.
Thanks for watching the show, Stephen Allen. Thanks for getting in touch. There's a few other people there. AJ, sunning himself over in Tenerife. Have a good time, mate. It's lovely and warm back here and all. I've got the eating on tonight. But anyway, just going back to Saturday's game, we'll talk a bit about transfer stuff because I know people have been getting in touch with us there about maybe players we should be looking at, Joe. Yeah. But obviously, Danny Ayala, that was the first goal from a centre defender for Borough since August the 24th when he scored against West Brom.
Yeah, it was,
And it seemed as though it was, like you said earlier, a straightforward, routine 1-0 win, but the last 15 minutes, they seemed to get really stronger rather than weakening and maybe tiring. They got stronger. Yeah. And they could have equalised before Matty Dolan did, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could have done. They had good chances for the last 10 minutes, you know. Like I say, they looked a real threat on the wings, you know, providing the player that they had on loan from Bristol City. Unfortunately, he's gone back to them.
That's right.
A transfer move there, Antoine Semenyo.
Yeah.
Plus, their number 11 striker, Jamil Matt, he proved a positive threat throughout the last 10 minutes with Newport as well. And like I say, the Newport fans have been excellent throughout that game on Saturday. I think it was under 2,000 they brought, I think.
No, they backed the team. They were really good, weren't they?
Backed the team throughout,
yeah. I mean, in the build-up to the game as well, Joe, Tony Pulis mentioned as well that a flu virus had gone through the team and the squad. Do you think in any sort of way that maybe contributed to the performance we saw on Saturday?
Yeah, I was a bit unsure of that one because I never heard anything about there was a virus running through the camp, to be honest. But like I say, Pulis did go for it for the first ounces of the game. You know, when you looked at the squad and you think you'd expect like likes of Dimmy or Lonigan to start, but no, he went with Randolph. And
were you surprised at the lineup, Joe?
I was surprised a bit, you know, because I would expect the likes of you know, obviously give a few fringe players a chance, and obviously either go with Dimmy or Lonigan and goal. But now he went like likes of Randolph for some longer, and
it was a strong team, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a strong team. So at the end of the game, unfortunately for the second week running, there was boos running out at the Riverside at the end of the game. But we're still in the FA Cup, Joe. That's something Everton can't say. West Ham,
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Even Newcastle, yeah.
Newcastle, I'd like to say congratulations to Newcastle United, 50 years without a trophy. Well done, guys. Fantastic work. So none of them teams still in the cup. We're still in there. There was a lot of upsets at the weekend, but we're still there to live to fight another day at Rodney Parade next week.
Yeah, a week tomorrow, should I say, yeah.
How would you approach that game, Joe? Would you make many changes to maybe the starting line? Would you go with a strong team down there, or would you make some changes? What would you do?
Obviously, I think, you know, going into it, I think Tony Pulis has to look at this game thinking we have to go for it, you know, regardless of the squad we have to pick, you know. Obviously, we were speaking earlier, we said we can give youth players a chance in this sort of pitch, you know. Rodney Parade, obviously no disrespect, their pitch is not the best by any means, because obviously they have a rugby team sharing their ground as well, the Newport Gwent Dragons. But it should be good. Should see a lot of, like, the young players, you know, the likes of Walker and the likes of Nathan Wood get a chance. And obviously, like a couple of first team players hopefully go on top of it, you know. Probably won't be surprised if Hugo probably starts, or having partnered with a Somber longer probably, because Ashley Fletcher, in my opinion, did not have the best of games on Saturday.
A bit, didn't he? And I think what's key to it as well, Joe, is obviously you've got the West Brom game this Saturday, and then the following Saturday you've got Leeds at home, 2 massive games. And obviously we'd all like to continue our progress in the FA Cup and get through to the 5th round, but I think those 2 games probably take over importance, don't they?
Yeah, plus Sheffield United away on top of that to boot.
Yeah. So, like I say, that might play into Tony Pulis' consideration when he's maybe deciding what team he's going to pick for that replay. I know Phil Major, thanks for watching, Phil. You said we'll play a strong lineup for the replay, and he might well do. I think he surprised a few people with that lineup on Saturday, so it could well happen again. We'll wait and see. So then, Joe, like you said there, fair play to Newport and the fans. They kept going on Saturday, and it was a special moment for Matty Dolan, like you said, ex-Borough youngster. And I think really a draw was no more than they deserved, was it? Yeah,
we were speaking to a few Newport fans, most notably fellow YouTube channel, the Amber Army. Thanks a lot for coming along again. Like I say, you know, they give the place a good atmosphere, unlike some of us what we needed, in all honesty. But as far as you know, they're going to go into the replay on a week on Tuesday. Obviously, Rodney Parade, I think, will be bouncing throughout. And probably, from our perspective, we'll probably be taking at least a few hundred. Probably like the diehards and some of the ones who want to go.
It's a tough journey at the best of times, never mind midweek and beginning of February. I think to go down to Newport and
5+ hour journey.
It's a long journey for a game which I think, to be honest, will probably end up being on the television as well, won't it? I think.
Either BBC or BT.
Yeah. But no, that's to come next week. I mean, what also I caught my eye a little bit after the game was Michael Flynn, the manager at Newport. Second week running, a visiting manager came out after the game and said that they got their game plan worked to a T. Neil Harris said it the week before when Millwall came up here. It's becoming a real issue, our home form now, isn't it? It's a real problem. How do we change what's going on, Joe? Because that's 2 wins in 11 now at home. What do we need to do to change things around?
It's frustrating. You know, you get up to a point really, you know, because I noticed on Quest after the Millwall game, even the commentator was saying they're noticing a few boos around the Riverside regarding our form at home, and obviously mostly directed towards Tony Pulis, and obviously, but I think our away form is what's keeping us in the playoff picture at the minute. But our home form needs to change drastically, you know. And
do you put that down to Tony Pulis? Do you put it down to the players, or is it a mixture of both? What do you think is the reason for why we're struggling at home, or do you think it is the fans? Do you think the fans are being impatient? What do you think it is, Joe?
Obviously us, the fans, demand top quality football every week. They come to the Riverside, you know, and obviously the feeling of not getting that each and every week that they come here. Obviously you pay hard-earned money to watch top class football, and for some reason we're not getting it in a minute. And plus, if it's the team that's struggling a bit with their confidence as well, or some players in the team that don't have the full confidence in themselves to be in part of the team of this football club. And it's something we won't know the answer to until it's too late, really, in my opinion.
Let us know, Borough fans, what do you think is the issue? Is it maybe not going too up top? Is it how the midfield's set out? Do you think it's our approach, how we start games? We seem to be a little bit on the back foot, don't seize the initiative. What do you think? Let us know, Borough fans, what do we need to do to maybe put our season back on track, certainly at home? So with that in mind, obviously, Joe, we talked about maybe what's going on the field. Big week off the field this week. It's a transfer window. Things are changing day by day at the minute. We've obviously seen Raj van La Parra come in, John Obi Mikel. Conor Ripley's gone. It looks like Harry Chapman and Grant Ledbetter are obviously not far away from going as well.
I think both of them have passed their medicals at Blackburn and Sunderland respectively.
So obviously there's a few outgoings as well. We've got to talk about Grant Ledbetter. What are your memories of his time at the club, Joe?
Like I say, when I first started, when I got my season ticket to go back to the Borough games again in the season where we got promoted, I think at the time, you know, when under the Karanka era, him and Adam Clayton were probably, in my opinion, one of the best central midfield pairings throughout the whole of the English leagues altogether.
Right.
And he's someone who plays 100% for the badge regardless whatever team he plays for. Obviously, when he joined us from Ipswich back in 2012, obviously their fans were few sceptical of him, obviously because of his Sunderland collections. But he's been a great servant to the club. He will be missed, definitely. I think it's to a stage where he just wants to play more first team football. And
that's fair enough, isn't it, Joe?
I mean, to be fair, you know, going back to Sunderland, I think I'd probably suit well for him because it's a club he supported all of his life. And obviously, he's been a good servant to us. So.
And he's never hidden that, and I think Borough fans respect him even more, and I think it goes without saying he's probably Teesside's favourite Mackham. But he's never hidden the fact that he's a Sunderland lad, he's a Sunderland fan, but he's given nothing but 100% commitment to our club, has he? I mean, I've got a few special memories, and Borough fans get in touch with your special memories of Grant Ledbetter, when he scored that penalty at Wolves, and he came over to the fans at the away enclosure, and his eyes were absolutely bulging. Why? It was like Diego Maradona in USA '94. And then after we got promoted against Brighton, when he led the sing-along on the pitch after the games, getting cheered off, he's just been a first-class professional, hasn't he? And I think, even though he's going to Sunderland, I think all Borough fans will wish him the best of luck there, and I'm sure he'll be a major success when he goes there, won't he, Joe?
Definitely,
Now, Harry Chapman, on the other hand, number of fans feel as though he hasn't really been given a fair crack of the whip at the club, and others, though, say that maybe he's had a lot of injuries which have held him back, and he's maybe not kicked on like Lewis Wing and Marcus Tavernier have. Where do you stand on that debate, Joe?
Where I stand on the debate, I think Chapman, obviously there was a lot of hype when he was playing in the under-23s, when obviously we were in the Premier League. But then obviously we sent him out on loan, so I think it was Sheffield United, I believe.
Yes, he did,
And obviously he got injured there, and we went back, played back in under-23s where he could have got an opportunity, but obviously, I think the manager at the time, Gary Bunke, I think he wanted to get more first team football in his belt, and obviously I think Tony Mowbray saw something in him from what I know of, so he went to Blackburn on loan, came back, played a few games for us. To be fair, Tony Pulis was not a big fan of him, if I'm perfectly honest. So obviously Tony, like I say, Mowbray, obviously he's been a big fan of him all along, and obviously he's on his way to Blackburn.
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
To get more football under his belt,
good stuff. Alan Johnson, I wonder if it's our former wing wizard here, Alan Johnson. I don't know if it is. It's going to be a tough game, so he's going back to the Newport game. If we do not approach it right, they will do a Leicester on us. It's a possibility, isn't it?
It's a possibility, yeah, it is. You know, going to the game against Newport, I think, you know, we have to go there and have the confidence enough that we have to win. I mean, obviously we don't want to be on the end of another cup shot like we did in the Carabao Cup. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was bad enough, wasn't it?
That was bad enough. So.
And back to the transfer talk, David Jackson, thanks again for watching, David. My fear is Stephen Walker's going to go too. Now, it's been mentioned today that Sunderland have been looking at him, possibly with a view to taking him on loan. How would you feel about that, Joe, if he went to Sunderland on loan?
It's one of those, you know, we really got to see Stephen Walker on a few occasions coming off the bench, I think. I think I can tell if we get lads some first team football under his belt, might be one for the future. But I think obviously Sunderland, you know, don't get me wrong, probably going down loan might cause a bit of stir for Munster Borough fans.
Well, back in the day, Stewie Downing started his career off by going on loan to Sunderland, didn't he? Very early on.
Like I say, there could be a possibility. Or there's a lot of like top League One clubs that can obviously look at Walker and think of we can take him on as a striker prospect and get him some games under his belt. So whatever happens with Stephen Walker, we got to support it. And when he goes on loan there or not, and we'll wait and see.
Well, I dare say it'll be better for him playing for a first division team in high pressure games, and he scored a hat-trick at the weekend for the under-18s against Devon, which is great, but I think he maybe does need to step up now and get a bit more first team experience. To be honest, I wouldn't mind him maybe being involved in the Newport game next week. But,
maybe, yeah.
But if he is, that obviously means he hasn't gone to Sunderland because the transfer window will close then. But I wouldn't mind him going to Sunderland as long as it's on loan, no permanent deals. He's got to stay.
Obviously, no permanent deal.
Yeah. And it's emerged today as well, Joe. A bit of a surprise for everyone. Danny Bart, apparently, Stoke City have come in with a £3.5 million bid for Danny Bart, and Wolves maybe on the verge of selling him to Stoke, so he would be leaving us. It appears as though the Borough weren't aware that in his contract he wasn't on loan for the entire season if a club came in with a bid. So do you think that would be a loss if Danny Bart moved on to Stoke?
Maybe, because I'm not sure, when we got him on loan in the summer, in the summer transfer window, I already think to myself, we had two first team central defenders in our ranks anyway, in Ayala and Flint. Yeah. And obviously we have Fry's backup, but I think I can tell he was not going to get much first team football when Danny Bart came to the club. Obviously, he did well when he in his debut against Stoke. Obviously,
yes, he did.
He played a massive part in that. But I think I think Pulis much prefers to go back to Ayala and Flint as the main two centre backs, and I don't think Bart would have got much chance anyway getting into the team as long as Pulis thinks about it.
Yeah, I suppose the only worry, Joe, is obviously you get injuries, suspensions. There's still 18 league games to go, and he has got cover, hasn't he? I suppose in Dale Fry, Ryan Shotton can play centre half, so there is cover there. But so you wouldn't be totally upset if Danny Bart moved on then?
No, probably I would not, be honest. But like I say, all the best to him. He did well for us for the 5-6 months he's been here. Yeah. So. Yeah. It won't be a big miss, but all the best to him if he does go. Yeah,
David Jackson, another good point there about Stephen Walker. He should be on our bench each week and come on for the last few minutes.
It's one of those, you got to give the lads some first team experience. Yeah. Whether we leave him on the bench or we send him out on loan. I think if we look at Stephen Walker, I was speaking to a few Borough fans saying his attitude could be a little lot to be desired, like his ego on the pitch, for example.
Well, I think top players have that little bit of ego, a bit of edge to them, don't they? He reminds me, and I'm not liking him in any sort of way to that player and not trying to build him up to be, but when I watch him, he reminds me a lot of a young Wayne Rooney. He's got a little bit of a streak about him and a little bit of getting the crowd involved and just a little bit about him that at that age you think he's confident, he's got the ability and he's banging in goals left, right and centre for the under-18s. So you think, why not put him on the bench? What have we got to lose? I think he would have given the crowd a bit of a lift even on Saturday, Joe, if he'd have been brought on the last 20 minutes.
Yes, he would have got the crowd buzzing, Yeah. I ended up Tavernier getting brought on in the end, but I can sense like some Borough fans, from where I was standing there, would have preferred, giving like Walker on, or could at least put Van La Parra on.
Yeah, that was a strange, wasn't it, that Van La Parra wasn't involved? When you think people are saying he needs game time, needs to get his fitness up, yet he sat on the bench for the full 90 minutes in that game on Saturday. Were you expecting him to come on, Joe?
I was expecting him, really, but obviously Tony Pulis does have his reasons, don't get me wrong. I would say if I would have took Fletcher off, for the last 15 minutes of the game on Saturday and put Van La Parra playing as number 10 possibly, we would have more chance of clinging on to the win and moving on to the next round, but obviously different story. Yeah,
didn't happen. So transfer, when we're talking about two lads that may be going there, it's previously been mentioned by Tony Pulis that he's looking to complete some signings, he's looking to bring some players in this week.
Yeah.
Who or maybe where on the field do you think we're most in need of attention? What players or what areas of the pitch do we need to bring new lads in this week?
Tony Pulis has said publicly, as I saw in the Evening Gazette, that he wants to bring in 2 more attacking-minded players in before the deadline closes. We mentioned one earlier, and that's Isaac Vassell from Birmingham. But in my opinion, honestly, I think Isaac Vassell, looking at the current form and obviously the injuries he's had, I think it's more of a panic buy, to be honest, Suchi.
And that's it. And I think the club have actually come out and said Birmingham have quoted £2 million they want for him, and the club have said, well, we'll have to look at how, if we are going to pay that, how we're going to pay it, or look at the type of deal because of the injuries he's had.
Yeah.
He has had a lot of fitness issues, and I think that's quite a gamble, isn't it, to take on someone that's had a cruciate injury in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And do you think he's the type of player we should be looking at, or do you think we should be setting our sights maybe a little bit higher or elsewhere?
Like I say, you know, it's up to Piers at the end of the day, but I've seen other reports that there's Fulham that want to get rid of 3 players on loan in the summer, like Stefan Johansson, Neskins Cabano and Floyd Aite have both been linked, moved away.
What sort of roles would they fill then, do you think, if they came to the Borough, Joe? What type of roles do you think could you see them playing?
Cabano is more of a versatile midfielder. He can play like centre mid, he can play on the wing, or he can play number 10, or he can play as a striker.
I think a wing number 10s are definitely areas that we need to fill, aren't they?
Yeah, I think he's a full international as well for the Democratic Republic of Congo, I think.
Right.
Plus, take a persuaded from British Sambelonga, for example, to bring him in there. Or something like that.
Yeah, could be, yeah. He could work well, yeah.
Floyd Aite is a Togo international. He can play out on the wings, which is another crucial area that needs sorting.
Yeah, definitely.
I think him along with Van der Power on the wings could, if played together, that could be a hell of a good fit for the Borough. Johansson isn't good. Obviously we've got plenty of midfielders in that position.
Yeah.
He gets you goals. He's
probably the most known of those 3 players, really, isn't he? Because he's been over here for quite a few years now.
Yeah, with Celtic and with Fulham.
Yeah.
Obviously, first choice international for Norway as well.
Yeah.
He's one of them who can get you goals from. Like it's that you can play in the Braithwaite wall.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah. So Borough fans, keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be lots of comings and goings this week. Thursday night, the transfer window closes.
Yep.
Keep in touch with things on Borough Fan TV. It's going to change day by day. Hopefully we'll get some players in that'll help us with our promotion push.
Yep.
And then at the end of the week, Joe, massive game. Tony Pulis goes back to his former club, West Brom.
Yep.
I think he's guaranteed a pretty hot reception there, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty ideal. I think he didn't leave the club on good terms, in all honesty.
But do you think that could work in our favour, Joe?
Could do, you know. Like I say, West Brom, obviously, they're obviously where they are for a reason. They're doing well this season. But they are a side that do league goals. Obviously, they didn't. Obviously, you get in the last 2 games, you know, when they won 2-0 away at Bolton, and obviously they drew goalless in the FA Cup against Brighton.
Yeah.
It's one of those, you know, don't get me wrong, West Brom, obviously they're going to look at this game as a massive game as well for them as well.
Yeah.
Darren Moore probably have the players made well aware of that.
Yeah.
And interesting to me, it's the likes of they haven't got Harvey Barnes because he's been recalled to Leicester.
They've lost a few players, haven't they? West Brom through the loan system, I think. So they may not well be the side that they were a month ago, but they're still one of those teams that have been up there all season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real test for us on Saturday. We've got a few fans from opposition sides that are up the top of the table.
Yeah.
Near us, Chainsaw Dom, Norwich fan.
Yeah.
And we've got LUFC Dave. Be very happy with the 3 points they got at Rotherham on Saturday.
Yep.
It is a massive game. West Brom, I think, at the moment, it maybe suits us going away from home, do you think, Joe, rather than playing them at the Riverside? Do you think, in a way, it could work in our favour, playing away from home?
Yeah, because like I say, our away form's much better than our home form, isn't it? You know, don't get me wrong. Obviously, the next 3 games, we've got to look at it, Hutchie. You know, obviously, West Brom away, we got, you know, and then obviously Leeds at home, massive game for us, you know. And then obviously we go to Sheffield United after that.
Yeah, it's a big couple of weeks, and I think that's probably going to decide whether we're looking up towards the top 2 or if we're going to be safe maybe in the top 6, or if we're then trying to maybe fight our way back into the top 6. 3 big games, aren't there?
Yeah, I think most Borough fans, I think, will be happy if we won 2 of those games and drawn 1.
Joe, I'd be delighted if we took 7 points from those 3 games. I'd be absolutely delighted. I'd take that straight away now. Steve, up the Borough, next 3 games, lads, are make or break for us.
Definitely, Steve.
I think it's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, going back to West Brom, top goal scorers in the division, Joe, 57 goals. However, they drew a blank here in the game in Ox, which I think, to be honest, was probably one of our best performances of the season that night.
Yeah.
It was a complete performance. We defended very well, but we also created quite a bit.
Yeah.
How do you think we're going to set up on Saturday? Do you think it'll be very similar to what we did at Birmingham and Derby? It'll go over the same sort of formation? Do you think he'll play Hugel on his own up top?
Well, like I say, when obviously the reverse fixture of the home game, I was away in Lanzarote that day. I was watching on the box in the bars there, and I was the only Borough fan there, funny enough. And I was celebrating right when Ayala scored, and I was like, oh man, have I embarrassed myself here? But like I say, going to the game obviously next Saturday. If position-wise, he might stick Hugo back in there, but obviously you want to see a Summer longer playing up top as well. But like I say, it's up to Pierce at the end of the day. You got Van der Power who can play as well on Saturday. But he might stick back to the midfield. Could be a good question mark. Who does he play? Could he play like Mikel or Clayton, Mikel or Besic?
I think Mikel obviously impressed a lot of people on Saturday with his performance. When you think he hadn't apparently played for over 2 months, and he played an hour in that game, rarely give the ball away, picking out four passes, he just looked very comfortable on the ball. And I think what impressed me as much was when he left the field, how much we sort of struggled when he left. And it almost seemed as though we dropped back another 20 yards after that. Now, if he can get you playing further up the field, that takes a lot of pressure away from your defence as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, plus personally, I'd like to see probably Mikel and Howson play together. Yeah. Because I can imagine that'll be what most Borough fans would want, really. Yeah. Obviously, Mikel playing more defensive-minded, Howson more attacking-minded. It's what you want, really. Yeah. From a midfield pair.
Well, it seems as though LUFC Dave's cheering for us on Saturday against West Brom. He said he had a good day at Rotherham and a good 3 points. Now he's relying on Borough against West Brom on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the nature of the division as well, isn't it? Teams will beat each other. Yeah. Norwich and Sheffield United played out a draw on Saturday.
Yeah, which favoured us in a way.
Yeah. So there is still a decent gap between us and the top 2. But it's not something we can't bridge. But like you said, we've got to start putting a run together now against those teams around where we've got to start winning those games, haven't we, Joe?
Yeah.
And
particularly the next 3.
Yeah. 3, like you say, if we take 7 points from those 3 games, I think that'll be a really good return and put us right back up there, looking up towards the top 2, won't it?
Yeah, well, it'll be,
Yeah. Where do you see the threats on Saturday, West Brom? They've obviously got Dwight Gale, Jay Rodriguez up front. Yeah. Plenty of experience in there. You've got Chris Brunt, Gareth Barry, Hal Robson-Kanu, Kieran Gibbs. They've just brought in Mason Holgate on loan from Everton. West Brom, interesting fact, highest ground above sea level in this country. So it's like Saturday is going to be one of Borough's toughest challenges this season. Can we get a positive result? Give us a prediction, Joe.
It's going to be one of them games. I think, like I said, we need 7 points out of it. So for that one, I'll probably take a 2-1 win. Let's take a 2-1 Borough win. There's Zach Doubt saying Islam Samani could be another suggestion.
A couple of years ago, he was a big name player, and there was a lot of clubs after him, wasn't there? Now, what would you say about it? Do you think he's a sort of player Tony Pulis would take a chance on?
He's one of them strikers, it's kind of similar to Hugo, isn't it? You get some of the years, get you the goals, but I've heard another thing saying, he's been obviously offered to go to Cardiff, obviously as a like a good gesture for the obviously what happened with that Emiliano Sala situation.
Yeah, and I think again Premier League football obviously talks a lot more than playing in the Championship as well. So I think if Premier League teams come along, you more than likely end up at a Premier League club.
Yeah, I think they're saying Leicester were offered to recall him because I think he's currently at Fenerbahce at the moment in Turkey. Yeah, and probably they're going to offer him to Cardiff, I think.
Yeah. Nice one. Well, 2-1 Joe's gone on Saturday. James on the camera, what are you going for, mate?
Not sure.
Not sure. No. I must admit, I think it'll be a very, very tight game on Saturday, and I think if we get a point, I'll be quite happy to take a point away from West Brom. Yeah. 1 or 2 people getting in touch there about the cup draw, which is on very soon, about 15, 20 minutes time. Yeah. Come and join us. We're going to be going off air in a minute or 2. We're coming back on air about 7:20, where we're going to do a reaction to the cup draw. So you can join us for that as it happens. We're going to be talking about the game and seeing who Borough hopefully get in the 5th round, if they can get past Newport next week. So unfortunately, we're out of time tonight, Borough fans. Thanks for joining us on the show, Joe. Enjoyed it. Thank you, Borough fans and fans of other clubs that have been watching and contributing. Remember to subscribe to Borough Fan TV. Our team will be in the West Midlands on Saturday for the West Brom game. So make sure you share your thoughts with them after the game. Until next week, from us all here at the Longlands Club on the Monday Night Social, thanks for watching, keep the faith and up the Borough.
Up the Borough.